He has given all the talk shows on television and radio a week's full of fodder, if not more, with his latest interview on Scottie Pippen. We welcome in Tyler Tynes. Tyler, welcome to the Odd Couple.
What's happening? What's going on?
I'm good, man. It's good to have you now. Great story, great interview with Scottie Pippen. And you seemed, from the interview reading it, it seemed like you were surprised, a bit taken aback by Scottie's outspokenness. What kind of struck you the most from your interview with him?
You know, I think what we try to do, especially since I've come over to GQ and we've, really established a voice over here for sports writing consistently, we want to have these candid and these very honest conversations, because if you're not going to have them with GQ, who else you going to have them with? Right. And so the thing I, appreciated, even, as we usually, as we're streaming towards younger players, especially for the next few years, I appreciated Scottie's candidness. I appreciate his honesty. And, I mean, that was the best part, right? Outside of what he said about Mike, outside of what he said about, Giannis or Ben or Kevin Durant or whomever, it was the fact that he said it with such a conviction that you almost had to believe.
Why do you think he is coming out? I mean, like you said it in the interview, this is not really the Scottie Pippen we remembered. It's not the Scottie Pippen of the last 15, 20 years, however long it's been that he's been retired. Why do you think now he's deciding to come out and be so outspoken?
Well, he's selling liquor. You know what I mean? He's selling popcorn.
It seemed like from the interview he was drinking liquor during that interview.
He got a memoir coming out too. So, you got to put on a little bit, because at this point, you got to remember Scottie was an analyst on ESPN. And so for somebody who, for a certain amount of time, lived in the business of takes, you still have that yearning. You want to be able to have that conversation with people about the sport that you play, that you're great at. And so for a point of it, it definitely just seemed like Scottie missed talking ball. And so I can appreciate that too. He just had a few things on his mind. He had to get it out.
What kind of sense did you get about his feelings toward Michael Jordan? I know in the interview he said on the court, everything was impeccable. That's actually the word he used. Our relationship was impeccable on the court. That's clear to everybody. But he said off the court, we really didn't have much of a relationship. So what was the sense you got for him and Jordan?
I mean, it's all right there, ain't it, Chris? You know what I mean? Like he said, on the court, it wasn't nobody better. On the court, we was Teflon. But off the court, Michael Jordan was a big star. And he was a big star as soon as I got there. And so there was always that space gap. And if you look at the history of who Michael Jordan has aligned himself with traditionally and historically, there's not a lot of people at this point that are still very close Michael Jordan confidants, right? It was only a certain type of person that really rocked with Mike. And so if even Scottie wasn't good enough, well, that should tell you all you got to know.
Do you feel like Scottie, I don't know if jealous is the right word, but he seemed to be coming off like he feels like the gap between him and Jordan on the court really wasn't that big. And I think it was very big. But he seems like doesn't think that.
Well, I mean, if I don't won 6 rings, if I'm an 8-time, whatever it may be, All-NBA or 8-time, first-team All-Defense, if I'm one of the greatest players in my generation, and all the dudes who played against me, they couldn't get past me, what do you think I'm going to say?
I think you're going to give Michael Jordan his props.
No.
Do you think the gap? Where do you think the gap was? Where do you think the gap was? Is it big?
It's no gap, but I'm telling you what you asked.
No, I'm asking you now. I'm asking you now. The gap between Michael and Scottie, is it big on the court?
Man, I'm 27 years old, man. I ain't watched these boys play basketball. That ain't for me to speak on. Yeah, but Scottie
you
like
a reporter doing NBA stuff, man. Have you seen the okay, you don't know.
I can tell you about what I reported on. I can tell you about what I reported on.
All right, cool.
That's what you can say.
He seems to really love LeBron. And what kind of sense did you get for his feelings on LeBron? Because LeBron's one of the few in the article that he really gave props to.
I mean, he's the best player of his generation, So, and he might be the best player ever. And so that's how Scottie seems to feel. It seems like, LeBron is very Teflon, even though there's been plenty of times LeBron has passed up the final shot. You're trying to critique a MVP and a multi-time finals MVP. It's a tough thing to do coming off one of the greatest performances you've ever seen in the playoffs. And so It seems like he's got a lot of love for LeBron.
Yeah.
But it also just seems like Scottie want to talk ball, man.
Well, now one thing that I thought was really interesting was that he said the incident in 1994, I believe it was, the 93-94 season, when he stayed on the bench, right, at the end of the game with the Knicks because Phil Jackson called to play for Toni Kukoc. And he said it was racial. He said Phil Jackson wanted to basically give the white guy the chance to be the superstar instead of him. That really took me aback. What were your thoughts on that?
Why did that take you aback?
Because I didn't think it was racial. And he's never that was 20
I think that might have.
Well, hold on, let me finish. You asked me a question now. That was 28 years ago. That was 28 years ago. And Scottie Pippen has never said it was racial. So that's why it surprised me. 28 years later, he's saying it was race?
So, 28 years ago to Scottie, it could have been racist then. Why it can't be racist now?
No, but my point is, why didn't he say it then?
Why is the onus on black people to let us know how they feel at all times? Right? If Scottie felt at that point in time it was
Hold
racist,
on.
Scottie probably told them folks it was racist.
If I feel like somebody do something racist to me, I'm not going to wait 28 years to say it. I'm going to say it.
Well,
especially if I got that kind of juice.
Different people, Chris. It sounds like y'all different people.
You asked me why did it surprise me that he said that?
Yeah.
And I'm giving you the answer. So what were your feelings on him saying? What are your feelings on him saying that?
I think when black folks say that white folks do something that's racist, I generally tend to believe black folks. So it doesn't seem that hard of an algorithm for me.
Okay, so every time a black person says something's racist, it's true.
I tend to believe black folks when they say racist things.
I'm black, and I've lived twice as long as you almost. And there's times when we say something's racist and it ain't. So I'm just saying, I'm just asking you just assuming it's racist. You just assuming it is.
No. I just understand how the concept of racism.
It wasn't that
works,
Phil Jackson's trying to win a game. It wasn't that Toni Kukoc that hit many buzzer beaters that season. It was racist.
Hey, man, look, if Scottie say it was racist, and the thing I appreciate the most is that Scottie has never been this candid anywhere else until he wrote his book. And yet this week in GQ, Scottie decided he wanted to be candid when he was talking to me. And so, look, man, all I see is I can understand where Scottie's coming from, and I don't got no problem with what Scottie said. But to think that you have to kind of pick it apart as if there is this great grand mystery, I don't know. I think Scottie's probably fine where he's at.
Yeah, I'm just asking you the questions on it. That's all. What was your feel on what he said about Charles Barkley?
I mean, to me, it was very funny. It was very funny. I mean, I don't know. There's still bad blood, it seems, between Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley, which I understand that completely. I mean, it's a lot of folks who don't like Charles Barkley, so it's nothing really revolutionary in that.
Last thing, Tyler. Tyler Tynes, GQ magazine, joining the Odd Couple. Last thing, he has gotten into it now with Kevin Durant. And obviously he talked about KD in the article. KD obviously is close to your age. He's a different generation than Scottie. What do you think about them kind of going at it on Twitter back and forth?
It ain't bothering nobody. We should have more of it. You know, chaos is good for basketball. You need narratives to sell sports journalism in the way that we do sports journalism in this day and age. And so if not for that, I wouldn't be on your show and you wouldn't have nothing to talk about on Friday. So we got
we would have plenty to talk about.
We got to embrace this kind of thing, Chris. It's good.
It was a great article. And as you know, people talking about it all over, but we would have something to talk about. Come on. There's plenty of stuff going on.
I'm sure y'all figure it out.
Yes, we would. We have. All right, my man, Tyler Tynes, GQ magazine staff writer. Great job this week, man. That was a great interview. Congratulations, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you kindly.
All
Have
right.
a good weekend.
Yep, you too.